What's up, flooring family? Welcome to the huddle. Come at you every Tuesday, except this one at 3 p.m. Central to discuss maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. Special episode. I'm up in Grand Rapids with the Preferred Flooring Company, making up a great group of people. But with me, as always, is Daniel and Jose Gonzalez.
What's up, guys?
So, today's episode is I'll break it down a little different than the topic. It's really about coming together as one, as installation group and as a greater industry. Speaking of that, we had a great roundtable last night with a bunch of installers here. It was absolutely fantastic. Had a great time. Some people zoomed in, some were here live. Just an open Q&A, and the purpose was to get input from the installer's perspective, on things that Go Carrera can do to, further improve the life of the installer. What other tools or features, benefits, deals, all that kind of stuff. So some great stuff came out of that. Excited to get back to Wichita and decode with my team and talk to Daniel and Jose as part of that, and kind of come up with some programs and some things that we've gathered from that. So it was really cool. I'm glad everybody came. If you're in the audience at the moment and you were here last night, thanks for coming. They brought in some tacos from, I got to give a shout out to La Familia.
Familia, Jalisco.
Yeah, they have the best corn tacos that I've ever had, and the corn tortillas did not fall apart. And I've told everybody about it, so you might as well hear it too. They were fantastic. Anyway, so today's topic is, we've touched on some of this stuff in the past, but it's always worth remembering that, installers, a lot of times we have a bit of a limited mindset from the perspective of, like, there's plenty of work out there for all of us. We attack, I mean, if you get on the Facebook groups, you can see there's guys and probably gals as well, attacking, the quality of other people. I would love, we were talking last night with some of the installers here, I'd love for a social platform where we come together and we're like, hey, I see some things, that maybe you see a picture of a project that you see some flaws in. You're like, hey man, how long you been doing that? How long you been laying sheet vinyl or carpet or whatever it is? And 3 years. Well, hey, I got some tips for you. I've been doing it for a long time, and I made some of those same some of those same mistakes. If you want some advice or mentorship or guidance or some access to trainings, I mean, just more helpful. It doesn't really matter if you're commercial, residential, hardwood, sheet vinyl, whatever. We're really in this for the same purpose, do good work. At least this is as I see it. I'm sure everybody has their own reasoning here, but from my perspective, it's like we're here to do good quality work in our craft. I have a big heart for, like, trying to raise our industry, the respect of our industry, where we're not always I don't have a great word other than crapped on when it comes to commercial jobs from a scheduling perspective, that we get our ample time to do our craft in the way that it should be done. Overall, we make a good living doing so. So the more we can share with one another, that's going to give us and come together as a community. And that's, frankly, what Go Carrera offers, is a community of installers. I think we can, make some meaningful change with manufacturers, make some meaningful change where, the specifications require a certain level of installer so that you're competing with quality installation professionals, and you're not, the one of the toughest things in our industry is guys who've been doing it for many, many years and are highly efficient and highly professional, and so charge more for that. That they're competing with someone who kind of just got started, and we all have to start somewhere, but we should be competing with like quality, um, installers. And all that being said, that's my opening spiel. Um, what do you guys think? Like when it comes to this kind of, you know, we just proved it last night. We're doing it now, like coming together as a community to
Right. So even last night, we were talking a little bit before this. We had guys here that we don't all do the same thing, right? And then some of us did do the same thing, but we're all looking at each other as partners. I'm gonna lean on them when I need help. They're gonna lean on us when they need help. And that's the way that the industry should be. Like
Well, give it exactly. Yeah.
on Thursday I'm gonna go out to Indianapolis and help a fellow installer with some Forbo. He's like, will you come out here please? Just I don't want to mess this up. And I'm like, let me see what I can do. Excuse me. And I mean, and I was talking to my wife about it last night, and
Mhm.
I was like, I'm gonna go out there, and she's like, why? I said because if I asked him, I knew he would come over here and help us.
100%. Especially if you bring tacos. That dude. But we'd have to make them. Right? And Daniel's hitting on it too. Is when you're coming up through the trades and nobody's there to have your back, and you are trying to make a living, right? And you find a future. It's a tough pill to swallow, feeling like you're in over your head on more than one discipline, right? Um, but it's very comforting knowing that there's people to lean on in the industry, that you can pick up the phone and call a Paul, call a Daniel, call a Jose and say, I might be in over my head. I don't know. Do you have any information? Or like, I'm just not comfortable 100%. I don't want to mess up.
Come help a brother out.
Come help brother out. And it's just, it wasn't like that 20 years ago. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. And to see that there is a shift because people are starting to lift our trade, it's a nice feeling, nice warm fuzzy feeling inside, knowing that there are people out there that want to see everyone else succeed, right? Um,
Well,
I,
part of that's the work we're doing. This is selfless. We don't get paid to be here every Tuesday,
mm,
shooting the podcast and you know, it's not even necessary. The thing is that we want to give information freely where we can in our expertise. I don't know everything, but what I do know, I'm willing to share and try to help
mhm,
out. And you guys have helped us, and I've tried to help you just as companies. I mean,
yeah,
on the company level of a flooring contractor, helping one another out. Um, and I think that the installing community ought to have even more of that feeling, more of that, like, let's band together, let's try to do good work, elevate our trade. I mean, I've said this before on the podcast and I stand by it. I think from a hand skills perspective, flooring is one of the what probably the most demanding from a hand skills perspective, and not not far behind on a knowledge base. I mean, we got to know chemistry of different types of
You basically got to
adhesives.
be a scientist in order to do commercial flooring.
Yeah,
and an engineer. There's a lot of different aspects.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, it takes a lot of math skill, it takes a lot of hand skill, and it takes a lot of thought when you're doing a complicated, pattern project or something. So helping one another out, coming together as an industry, and helping improve our day-to-day lives on projects. That's part of the key. I love our general contractors. I know you guys love yours, but at the end of the day, we still have to realize that when we're on job sites with them, that we have to have our time to do, an effective project and an effective installation. Buying materials, getting them delivered to the site is part of the deal. And then the most important part, no matter how pretty that product looks, for the project to look pretty
mhm,
is the install.
yeah,
And so, you know, that's where we hope that the podcast adds some value to people who are just getting started, or some who maybe been in the industry for a long time but doesn't have, there's always these little nuggets you can learn, and I've learned from you guys, and I hope I've been able to bring some value to the table as well.
Oh,
And then I
100%.
love doing this podcast with you guys. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, I'd say that, you had mentioned the comments earlier about, about a platform where there could be conversation where you're building up and helping. And you're absolutely right. We have a thing where we go on a project that might not be performing the way it should or look the way it should. We don't ever go on a project and bash another flooring installer. We don't ever do that. Have we ever done that? If I told you no, I'd be lying, right? In my younger years, yeah, probably. Like, I want you to look at me like I'm better, like I'm who you need. But as you get a little bit older, you realize it doesn't really do anything but make you look bad. The I don't know under what circumstances the installer had to do that install. I don't know what skill set or knowledge base they had. So it's hard for me to go and bash someone, right? Even though they try to coerce it out of you. Well, is this done right? How is this? How would you have done it? Right? And it's just like, hey, no, it's not about how I would have done it. It's about what conditions were they installing under here at the time.
I've had plenty of times, dude. I've been told we can't do additional floor prep, and you're just going to have to lay it, and that's going to be
We,
what it
yeah,
is.
we've been on job sites
And
where
if
we're the other there's multiple, installers there, and then you walk over here and you see them like they were gluing right to gypcrete, and it's like, what are you guys doing? They told us that we're not getting paid for any prep, so we're just installing.
Yeah, I mean, we have done that and had to do that. I mean, like, it was just that
Mhm.
was the deal. And if somebody goes back and looks at that job in 5 years and is like, and a new property manager, making stuff up here, but in a scenario where it's a new manager or something over that property, and they're like, well, what would you have done? It's easy to say at that point, well, I would have
Yeah.
floated that damn floor out.
Right.
First off, I would have skimmed it. I would have done this. I would have done that. I would have asked the sheetrocker to fix the wall so the base isn't all wavy. And I mean, there's a lot that I would have done. Well, you're just not in the scenario, and it's impossible um, to do that. So attacking situations or putting down other installers, um, it just typically doesn't, it doesn't turn out in favor of you. I like how you were talking about it last night.
Mhm.
I can't remember the scenario, but it was more of like, well, I'm not going to say what should have or shouldn't have been done. I can't trying to remember that conversation, but it was basically like, I'm not going to say, but I can tell you what we need to do now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if that client is receptive to hearing the proper installation techniques, then awesome. If they're not, then, you know, you could be made fun of in 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, um,
Eh,
so again, building one another up, helping each other get trained. If you know another installer that needs a helping hand, I mean, Daniel, you're going out to
And
help.
and on that flip side too, if you are that installer that needs help, right? It's nice to know that there's people out there where he just, he was he got in. I mean, we started this conversation maybe a month ago where he's like, I got this project that I'm looking at putting numbers to. Where would you be at? What all goes into it. So that way he had an idea. And then all the way down to I got the project. What tools do I need? And then getting down to the nitty gritty, like, hey, this project starts next week. I'm still not comfortable, 100%. Will you come help me? So that way I know that it's going to be done right. It takes a lot out of someone to actually be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Will you come help me?
it's a comfort thing too, right? Like, when when you have the basic knowledge and the basic idea of the flooring and the discipline that you're working on, that's one thing. But it's applying that comfortably, because you're second guessing yourself. Once you start second guessing your knowledge base, you start overthinking and like, oh, I'm missing something, because now your thoughts and your process is scattered. And it's just one of those things where Daniel could do it in his sleep. He's done it 100 times, right? And it's just like, if someone was here doing a shower, I would be I'd be more than happy to help. I know a little bit. I don't know enough, but I would be a fly on the wall. I'd be a helper. And I'm pretty sure I've offered to many people, like, hey, if you have a project going on, you just need an extra hand, I'll be a fly on the wall just to learn. Don't pay me, no nothing. I like to learn. Um, because I like to absorb information. I know I'm going to learn something.
Randall's watching. He says he's loved that we're sitting across from each other this week.
Yeah, not across the country, but
Right.
across
We
the
have a
table.
special guest who decided to join on his own recognizance there. Um, his brother was just in here a few minutes ago.
Which one was?
Yeah, that's funny. So this is our nephew Flo.
How's it going? I cut myself.
They don't answer back.
No,
And
he
that-
didn't see your hand.
That's another thing too, you guys. Safety, right? Like, so if we're talking about lifting each other and building one another, so that way we can all have careers, safety is a huge part of it. I'm going to ask him. I know the answer. How'd you cut yourself?
I was holding the scraper up and tightening the screw with it up in the air. And I
So
pulled
when-
it towards myself,
When someone was teaching you how to change the blade, what's the first thing they told you?
keep it on the ground.
So,
Yeah,
safety is important is the key.
Well,
Listen and learn.
you can't continue success and continue getting better if you don't incorporate safety, because then you get shy. You start steering away from the things that hurt you. And I think we talked a little bit about fear last night, right? And in relation to moving forward in life, fear controls a lot of your future decisions and what you do. And that's one of the things too, is if you do a project and if somebody does a 4-bow, they don't have, or does a 4-bow install, doesn't have any help and very little experience, and it fails, the chances of them going back and trying and receiving another project or accepting another project with that material is slim to none, because they already failed.
Well, and the problem there is that, it gives pretty much everybody a bad name. I mean,
People start pointing their fingers at the manufacturers, right? And you have to start thinking in terms of they're part of this industry too. And are there some products out there that are inferior? 100%. But you have to start giving even the manufacturers the benefit of the doubt. Like, they're not trying to manufacture that product that's going to fail. They're trying to manufacture good products. And when you throw them under the bus, it's not a good look for you either,
yeah,
right? It's always a partnership. I don't know why it failed. It's not, this is because of this product, that's why I hate them. It's, we don't know why. Let's start investigating
mhm.
and get down to the bottom of it. Because a lot of the products that we've ripped out, and they're like, I never want to use this product again. It wasn't not the manufacturer's fault. Some of it wasn't even the installer's fault. It goes all the way down to the people that are doing the maintenance on the products, not cleaning it properly, flooding it, stuff like that. So it's not only lifting your fellow installer, it's knowing that we're all in the same industry. What can we do to all help each other out? And once you start looking at it from that mindset, you actually have manufacturers that if you call them for an issue, they will 100% have your back, because they know that you do the same for them.
Yeah, I've had plenty of times where we've had to install what appears to be an install issue or a product failure, a project, I should say, issue. And if you've taken care of your vendor and because there's plenty of times when we've seen a problem with a job and heard the same thing, like, I'm never using this product again. I'm like, there's so much more to the performance of a product than just the manufacturing. And there's more than just installation. You have your part to taking care of this facility as the owner, and site conditions and changing of site conditions. I've got this Friday, I'm going out to look at a project where, they've got some bubbling issues on some sheet goods, vinyl sheet goods, and come to find out, in this area of the facility, they completely turn off the HVAC system every break. If it's Christmas break, spring break,
Oh no.
summer, they completely just shut it off. And I'm like, well, you don't realize what that does to the flooring. That's not the manufacturer. That's not the product's fault. And it's also nothing that we could have done differently a year and a half ago when we installed it. So looking at problems that way and being willing to kind of figure out what the real issue is, and not necessarily, casting stones, as they say.
Yeah.
I think it's important to figure it out. I know that's off the rails a little bit from the original discussion, but it all boils
Yeah.
back to
Together
it all
about,
ties back
you
to
know,
like working together to improve the industry, improve our reputation as a skilled trade in this industry, and getting that respect. I mean, there's nothing better feeling to me than when we are like the 800-pound gorilla on a job. Every once in a while, you got a product that they're like, the flooring guys are coming in, especially
Mm.
epoxy. I like doing epoxy
Epoxy
because
sheet
it's like
vinyl,
the epoxy guys are going to be here next Tuesday.
Everyone
Everybody
is
has to get
complaining.
out of here. And I was like, man, I wish I had that pull with LVT.
Square format, you guys can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, square format. Can you guys start in this back closet over here?
Yeah.
And do this room over here.
And then
You gotta
tie it
wait
together in
till
the
we
middle.
Install the shelving and everything, and then you can install the floor though.
So
Yeah.
to add on to what you were saying about them turning off the HVAC, and some of what you learn, you don't learn in the book, you learn over time, or by bumping elbows with an installer that's been in the industry for years. There's a lot of scenarios that can only come through experience, and it sucks to find out the hard way, but that's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes like the sheet vinyl is bubbling up, right? Like I'm pretty sure we've run into that before, and until we hit that, we didn't know. We thought we did something wrong, but if they did it right away, the moisture that built up between that sheet vinyl affected the adhesive, and there you go.
Yeah, there's a lot
bonfire.
to it. I guess
Yeah.
that goes back to like the original discussion about how skilled our trade really is, and
The science.
the science and the chemistry that you have to understand between different types of adhesives and
Mm.
different backing systems. We talk about that a lot, and flooring's pretty unique that way. So my ploy to all the audience, to all the installers and companies as well, value the installation team that you have, whether they're subs or hourly or both. Um, you know, help find training. It's one of the things at the flooring company that I realize we could do better at is identifying where our guys and where our team's deficient, and addressing that through training. I talk a lot about training and I believe in it. And it's not that we don't do training, but be more cognizant of where the skills can be improved and what skill sets uh, maybe need a little bit of work, and then you know address those, whether it's training in house,
Mhm.
company trainings, or whether it's getting to an industry training. But all in all, it's important that we all realize that the company needs the installation community and the installation community needs the companies, and we got to value the companies we work for. If you're an installer, and companies, we got to value the installation community.
Right.
And
I think if you look at like some of the groups that are focused more on like the stores and the bigger contractors that hire subs, and then you see a job go south, and then they're just in there bashing the installer, right? When they didn't do their due diligence on what that installer is capable of, and
Mhm.
it could have been a site visit when they first started, and then you're like, oh, maybe we got to back up a little bit because you said that you knew how to do this, but you don't. And what can we do in order to get you there? So because you don't want to just go through installers like just cycling through them, right? You want to make sure that they know what is going on, so that way when you need them, they're there for you.
yeah, well, and um, cheapest isn't always the right. That the old saying that the wrong guy at the right price is still the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And
So you want to be cognizant to make sure that the skill of that of that person matches the skill requirement of the job. And that takes skill on your part as the company to assess that. That's what we do. Otherwise, why wouldn't a GC just hire subs themselves?
Right. And
Right.
some of that is I'm a face-to-face conversation type of person, right? Like I like to have that real person reaction. So some of it is when you ask a question, you know your answer right away if they're comfortable or they're not. I mean, the human face gives a lot away.
Especially when, you know, you're asking them and they can't just try and Google it real quick. We were talking about that yesterday about
Hmm.
stuff
See,
like that.
Jake's on here too. What's up, Jake? What
Yeah.
question you got?
He says, starts with guys that deal with the customers to allow your helpers to see you in action and just being that person that's great at communication. A lot of people don't have that strength, especially the younger people, I think, because we're in this technology age, right? Where they grew up with technology. Everyone is just texting each other and you
Yeah.
don't get a lot of that face-to-face interaction with strangers, and it's just a strength that you kind of have, especially when you're dealing with
You definitely got to learn those communication
right.
skills.
Yeah,
So, especially on like the residential side, I think it's very important because you're dealing with that homeowner and you're going into that house and it's like, this is my pride. This is what I've worked for my whole life.
mhm.
Yeah.
And then if you go in there and you don't know how to talk to them or your body language is like really far off, you gotta look,
Or body odor.
you gotta look to your leadership and see someone doing it, and then really it's following that example, right?
Well,
Whether it's good or bad.
on the other side of that,
you don't want to follow
in the 90s when I started installing, there was, obviously there were more installers in. Um, of the mechanics, even at the hour when I worked by the hour, um, I had to pick it up a lot of times because the mechanic I was working for didn't want to show me for fear of like me taking their position, and it was just that whole thing. And I've read that in the Facebook groups, like, you're training your replacement kind of thing.
Mm.
Come on. Like, you're not, if you look at it that way, I would challenge you to make sure that your skills are where they need to be yourself. You know what I mean? Like, because if you're really, really good, somebody that you train is not going to come just take your stuff over. And that's one of the things, and I'm proud to say that Go Career is trying to tackle is not having these new guys wrestle with, old experience, and I don't mean old in age, but experienced
Like
installers.
40,
Yeah.
like 40,
Yeah,
like
like
43.
exactly. Well, we had a guy last night that thought that 43 was old. So, but that you're not training your replacement. Maybe eventually, maybe when you want to be replaced, but you're training people to work alongside you. And the way that eventually, what I found out is you got to gain the trust of that installer, that mechanic. And once you gain their trust, then they're more than happy to help you. So a word to the wise for both. If you're working with a mechanic, is like give them time to learn to trust you,
Mhm.
and then honor the time with them. I mean, if you're a new installer, you ought to be with somebody for several years before you think you're going to go out on your own and start doing something. Or even if you work by the hour, trying to get in a position where you're, a lead or something. Like, take your time, make sure you're learning from these guys, and go alongside them. I mean, companies like ours, we're hoping that our senior installers are training the other guys, and then we move them aside them. It's not a replacement. It's like now we got two crews and we can
Right.
use a bunch of crews,
And not only that, I mean, just the construction industry in general, there's going to be a lot of people aging out in these coming years, right? And then they're going to need people to fill those roles. So you say you're not training your replacement, but at the same time, there's going to be a point where you're like, yes, I want to train you because
Yeah,
I need to get off my knees.
I need
Yeah.
a replacement.
Yeah, I like I need someone to replace these skills, or else there's going to be a void there.
I think there's a big lack in training the next generation anyways, just because of that notion of I don't want to train my replacement. And it happens a lot, not even just like in the flooring industry. If you go to like the serving industry or any kind of like,
Mechanic,
yeah,
Mhm.
mechanics or like
like a
special trade,
auto
something you do with
bodies.
your hands in
Hmm.
a sense. People are afraid of losing their clients, afraid of giving up the edge that they have that they worked so hard to get to. So
And that's the hard part about any line of work that you're in, right? Like if you're in the line of business where you feel like you're training your replacement, then maybe you're not working with the right group. Maybe you need to work with someone who is going to allow the growth or who wants to grow with you. And I think the hardest thing to recognize is that when you're training someone, you're training them in hopes that they do take over at least one of your disciplines, one of your skill sets that you
mhm,
have, because then it frees you up to focus on other things, whether it's personal growth or business growth. You got to look at it like that. They're alleviating some of my stresses, so that way I can focus on other things as well. And then if you have the right people, they grow with you. But a lot of people get mad, like you train someone and they're really good and they have hand skills, soft skills, chances are that you got a what entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Entrepreneur. Like you can't. It doesn't matter what you do, what you teach them. They're eventually going to leave anyway, and build something for themselves, unless they have no reason to leave. But which that's very hard to do. But
Well, I had a lot of pride when I trained. I have 3 or 4 guys that make a living in this industry because I trained them. So I don't care. They never replaced me. Like I replaced my current self at that moment anyway. I kept trying to strive for more anyhow. The only way you're going to get replaced is if you're stuck in the mud yourself. So continue your own
mm,
training,
Right.
continue your own uh, um, advancement. If you are an absolute expert in one field or in one discipline, maybe pick up a second discipline. I mean, there's ways that you can continue to outpace anybody that's going to try to replace you. And you ought to have pride that you've trained somebody to have a skill that can put food on the
Well,
table for their
right.
family. I have a lot of
and
pride
You
in
can
that.
look at it in terms of there's a guy, we're still really close with, and he was one of the people that when I started, he was teaching me. And it's, to the point now where, we're still really good friends. He'll come in here, we'll talk, he'll do some jobs for us, and he'll straight up say, I'm so proud of what you've done. And he never looked at it like I was trying to take his stuff. He never looked at it like this is my competition. He's like, he did. He taught me whatever he knew. And now it's to the point where he's like, I'm so proud of everything that you've done. Like I never would have thought when you were, I don't know, 14 years old that this is where you'd be, but this is awesome.
mhm,
And that's we need more people like that.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Be proud of training somebody and giving them the set of skills that, puts food on their table and gives them a life, a skilled trade that they can
Right.
take anywhere. I mean, that's one of the key benefits of learning a skilled trade and being expert level at it. I don't care where you go. I mean, I
Yeah.
could move to any place in this nation and within a few days have a job.
Mhm.
Still yet today, I have enough skill left in these old hands to be able to figure that out. Like there's a sense of security to know I can still go do that no matter what, you know? Um, so train the next generation. Be proud to train the next generation. Be proud to be one of them that expand the industry in that way. There's no shortage of people. There's no shortage of the need. Let me put it that way. There's a
Yeah,
shortage
it's only getting
of
greater.
people. There's no shortage of need. So you're not going to train a replacement as long as you're outpacing and trying to get better yourself all the time. Anyway, I mean, I know tile guys that have trained multiple other tile guys, and we've given these guys when they go out on their own work, but they're never going to get the same work that we give, you know, that core guy.
I don't think what a lot of people really understand is when you're training that person and you're going back through the steps yourself, you're refining your skills on that particular subject when you're teaching those basic skills to that new person.
That's a really good point,
That
actually.
is a really good point.
Yeah, and so when was it? Was that this week or last week when we started doing the NAFCT? Last week.
Right.
So we started doing the NAFCT substrate and subfloor class. Just put it up here and we all watched the video together, right? And then we all did the test, but it was nice because we can pause the video and explain this is what they're talking about. This is, real world example or really refine it, right? Because I enjoyed it because a lot of the stuff is like you watch it one time, you take the test, and then it's done. You'll probably never, think about it again. But you do pick up that little bit, and in order for them to gain the knowledge, I'm over there learning right alongside with them again. And I mean, I think one of the issues too is that a lot of people don't like the classroom setting, so that's why we're doing stuff out on the job site with our hands and stuff, right? But it doesn't matter, what industry you're in, it's necessary because you need that along with your hand skills in order to be the full package.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I thought it helped too, just doing that together because it helps us see that like you don't know everything yourself, like you don't have everything together, like we think you do. Because like learning from you guys, we kind of paint the picture of they're the GOAT, they know how to do everything. So
Not
like
even close to the truth.
so like they don't fail, they don't do this, they don't do that. Oh, I didn't know that you guys were perfect. Like
Yeah.
when we're learning and they're like, oh, you did that wrong. But
It's just scenarios, right? So like everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. Daniel, he's way better at quoting specifics for standards and like almost verbatim out of the book. I'm not like that. I will change the verbiage, the wording, so that way I understand it, and also so that way you understand it. You understand it differently than he does. Paul understands it differently than all of us, right? So it's a matter of finding that correlation and relation for whoever the crowd is, whoever you're teaching.
right.
And that's where learning from multiple different people has a benefit, even if it is the same discipline. So that's
But
I find it a little interesting that the topic is coming together, kind of bringing the industry as one, and we end up on training and communication,
Jeez.
right? Not
Right,
not
no.
because we came off of the topic, it's because it's so core to the topic.
Right.
It's so core and
It's
so
because,
important to that
because we
topic.
are one, right? And it's not, I'm going to keep all these secrets. It's, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to learn with you. And the knowledge that I give you and the knowledge that we're learning together, I hope you take that and expand on that and be better than I ever was, right? That's the goal in think of it in terms of kids. You always want your kid to be better than you did. You should
Mhm.
always want the person that you bring in the industry to be better than you are.
100%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Crystal is a great example. I mean, like people talk crap to me all the time. Oh, Daniel, Crystal's better than you. 100%. Like she's better than me, and that was the goal the whole time.
That's a pride moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
what's important. So training, having pride in the people that you are training, that their success is really the success of you as a teacher, you as an individual and a human, and the way that you care about other people. And so like their success is your success. I encourage everybody to, and I only mention this because I I witnessed it myself when I got in the industry, and I still see it on as a thing out in the Facebook world. Someday we're gonna do, I think in 2024, some of these review Facebook comments and comment on them, but that could be fun. But the point is that still is there. This idea that I'm going to train my replacement, and so I don't want to teach them right. Well, or I don't want to teach them too much. Again, just to reiterate, if you're always improving, you won't get outpaced. And your pride ought to be in how well you're teaching someone else. And your pride ought to be at how good they are. You have pride in what you guys have taught Crystal and how Crystal's picked up on the industry and how good she is. I mean, we all know, and if you don't know, she's pretty effing good. She, competes on a national level at the installation competition. So, but that's a moment of pride. That's a thing that should be a good thing. Not that you're training your baby sister to take over your job, you know? Like I don't quite get that. And so I get a lot of pride out of the guys that I've been able to teach. I get pride when uh our hourly staff, we've sent them to trainings and they've gotten to increase their earning potential because of that. So uh yeah, that's what we mean when we're talking about coming together as one
Mhm.
and building the industry, the strength of the installation community from a skill and ability perspective and respect for one another. We can build a great industry. It starts with us interacting together, starts with communication, and people stepping out and doing some stuff that isn't done. I don't know how many flooring podcasts there are. I know there's a few, but we're darn consistent. And we've been what episode we on?
We are on
78 or something?
77, I think.
77.
Yeah,
So
77. It's a good
se-
number.
77 weeks
You like 77?
in a row. And
Not in a row.
almost in a row. Close to in a row. But we've missed very few as a whole group. I
Those weeks don't
mean,
count.
when you consider that. So um
Our percentage.
we're here to freely give. We hope we help. And um, you know, let's band together almost like brothers and sisters and continue to improve our industry overall.
Right. And this is that podcast, right, where it's like a lot of us do the same things, but this is like get with if you don't do hard tile, get with a hard tile guy and take them to lunch or invite them over.
Yeah.
We had him here yesterday, and it's like it's always great conversation because it's like we don't do the same thing, but we all need each other. Like
Mhm.
if I'm quoting something and I don't have someone to do that, I'm already out of contention if the bid isn't broken up, right?
Yeah.
So it's like get those, and that's why we call them partners. It's I'm never going to bring anyone and say that yeah, this is my subcontractor, this is what they're going to be doing because it was one of the construction companies that we do a lot of work for, and they're like, we're gonna stop calling people subs because that a sub is a lower tier, right? We're not trying to say that you guys are less than us, so they started calling us trade partners.
Hmm.
So that's where we get, a lot of our stuff from is learning from the larger companies. So we're calling everyone partners. Come be our partner because without you, I wouldn't be able to do it. In some cases, without me, you wouldn't be able to do it. So let's partner up together. And we still partner up with some of the bigger companies around here and do labor only because one, it's because our relationship with them is rock solid, but because we know that we have a certain skill set that not everyone has. So it's in the best interest for us to do it for that customer, knowing that your job is going to get done right. And like just like everyone else in business, we're here to make some money. So those dollars have to be right, and
Yeah.
we can all partner and we become one together. I mean, this is uniting everyone. Uh, we had epoxy guys in here, and they've done a few jobs for us, and one of the companies will call me and he'll be like, and those epoxy guys are the best guys that I've ever used, hands down. And I say, I'm glad you like them. We love them too. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna continue, being our partner, and they'll come. They came in here, and started asking us questions, just like we're sitting across the table from each other right now, just sharing information because not everyone knows everything, and if we can help them the little bit that we do know, that's what we want to do as well.
Yeah.
Let's all lift each other up and move on, man. Like this is such a great industry, and there's so many great people in it. It's it's in our best interest to start looking at each other all as partners.
I think what helps with that is getting around each other, right? Often, keyboard warriors, are very much on their own. You know what I'm saying? Like they're out in their own bubble. Get out, come meet. We go to just about all the shows and come meet us, but meet all the other people that we're talking
Mhm.
about. I mean, we get a lot of knowledge from like the old timers, Sim and Sonny and these guys that are in the industry that you can just tap into. And what's great
They watch
about,
there.
oh man, that is what is great about some of the old timers. They don't install anymore, but man, will they give you the knowledge. If you just ask them, they want to share it before they're
They
off
can
into the
anymore.
sunset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so getting around one another and networking, it's another thing I don't think we do very good as an install community is network. And last night was proof that it can happen and that people can be happy doing it. There was competitors in the room, there was trade partners in the room, there was different talent levels, there was different disciplines, everything, and it was a great conversation, and it was enjoyable. So, like, join in, like, get out in the community, in your, join in with the install community, join this podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube or one of the social channels,
Like,
comment, give us a
I was
like,
gonna say,
subscribe.
what if you guys have like 1 week a month where you do like expert installer week and you have one of those old guys come out and just share the knowledge because you said that they want to so much, like that they want have the drive to teach the youth, teach the up and coming, get them on the stage, give them that chance to, because
Yeah.
there usually isn't a chance to.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And where were you yesterday when we were talking about the podcast?
He was
No,
stuffing
I'm
his
just
face with
kidding.
tacos.
I'm just
also
joking.
have
No,
to
that's
try it out.
that's really that's a good idea, and we'll probably do that this
We don't think
2024.
about that.
I think
Bring in,
it's almost we start calling it like 2024 season 2, right?
yeah.
We don't think about that because we are the old timers.
In some cases, we are the old timers, but those guys, it would be great to have some of those guys on. We've had some of them on, but specifically, driven at Q&A would be a cool one, like getting on and tapping into a sim or someone like that, or Sonny or any of the
Yeah,
old.
even if you have to
dudes.
bring those young installers to ask those questions that need to
Nope,
be
they're
asked.
always free to attend,
Yeah,
participate.
Well, just like when you go to networking events, that's what you kind of see is the installers kind of keep to themselves and not want to be really social like that. And I think that's one of the downfalls of like when you look at CFI convention and stuff, because from the outside looking in, yeah, it looks like they're all friends. I'm not trying to go over there and talk to them, but once you start talking to them, they're open arms. Like it's like they
Some of them
they
are
don't care.
friends. Some of them
Yeah.
are friends. Like,
And that's the
be
thing.
willing to put yourself out there. Right?
It all started from somewhere, right? Where we didn't know them, and now when we show up somewhere, it's come in.
yeah.
We're hugging. We're all friends now. It's those conversations have to start somewhere, and you just have to be comfortable enough to put yourself
Well,
out
trust
there.
me, it's
Say
not
hi.
it's not as scary as you think, and people are more apt to engage with you if you just take a step, say hi, see it, whether it's CFI or getting around some of the CTEF tile installers. You want to talk about somewhat intimidating. Those guys can be like scary to talk to because they're over here mudding walls and all this stuff. If you watch them at some of the competitions and doing stuff we don't even do in Kansas, like some of the stuff that they train there and test on, we don't even do that kind of stuff in
And
in
I mean,
Kansas.
I've talked to who's the guy that puts on mud, Mario, right?
Mhm.
And he's approached me at some trade shows, and he's like, "Hey, you gonna come out here?" And I was like, "I don't even do tile." He said, "Still more than welcome."
Yeah, always a chance to learn something new.
Yep.
Love
All
it.
right, well, we're ending the time here or getting close to the end of the time. I thought an interesting, anytime we do these podcasts, and by the way, it's awesome to be here with you guys and
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
be
you
up
for
here in
coming out.
Michigan.
Yeah,
It's
appreciate that.
been
Sorry
real
it snowed.
rewarding.
Sorry it snowed for you.
Yeah, it snowed, especially for me. Um,
It's all
but
gonna go away.
the camaraderie that you guys have with a lot of the trade partners is admirable, and people do respect what you guys have done in the industry, what you're doing in the industry. So I encourage everybody to kind of have that helping hand with one another. Um, it's unique. We a lot of times we are so combative, but truth is embrace one another. I've done a lot of traveling and talking to other flooring companies, and I've learned that if those partnerships with your installation community, that is the real key to me on a really good flooring company, and kind of the differentiating factor. It's apparent the people that are doing really good things, whether it's in training or their company's growing, or they're making new strides in the industry. It's always the ones who are at the shows that I've been to. They're part of the community. So I encourage you, if you're just getting started into flooring, particularly you started a new flooring company or you're a new installer, get around like-minded people. That is, I mean, business people tell you this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So
Yep.
I would encourage you to get around other successful people in our industry, chat with them, get the goods and bads. A lot of us will tell you the mistakes we've made. We've been pretty transparent on this podcast over a year now, doing it, that we weren't perfect. We're still not perfect, and we make mistakes, and we're somewhat transparent about that. So,
Mhm.
hopefully we can all grow together. And again, one more thing. Today's the last day for the sim.
That was yesterday.
That was today's Tuesday. Sorry. Yesterday sim closed. So I think we had 17 or 18 entries.
Yeah,
And
entries,
so we'll be announcing that here next month. And so best of luck to everybody who entered into that drawing or into that scholarship. And yeah, it's a really great training. So again, if you're watching us on any of the socials, if you'll give us we love the comments. We want to hear from you guys. Consider giving us a like and subscribe as well. And it's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
Yeah, and if you are on the fence of going to a trade show, Ties is right around the corner. If you are introverted or think that you're gonna go and just feel out of place,
Hit us
reach
up.
out to us. We can introduce you to whoever we know.
We can
and you-
introduce you to the other introverts. So that
Yeah.
way you guys can introvert in groups.
But yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome to come hang out. We'll probably be focused on the installation competition again this year, since baby sister is gonna be in it.
Oh yeah.
But we'll be around. We got a new camera to play with.
Just so
You'll
you
see
guys
our
know, you
backpacks.
guys can't call her baby sister. She's our baby sister. So.
Everyone calls her baby sister.
All right, guys. Well, we'll shut this down for the day. Thanks everybody out in the audience for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Guys.